Mama died this morning. We don't have anywhere to go." The words stopped Adrian Calder in his tracks, just as he reached for the handle of his black Escalade, parked outside the granite-tanned glass tower that bore his name. Slowly, he turned. 2 girls stood behind him. The older one, maybe 9, stood with squared shoulders, like someone who had learned long ago not to flinch until it was too late. Her coat was too thin, ripped at the sleeve. Beside her, a little girl no older than 5 shivered, clutching a one-eared stuffed rabbit. For a moment, the only sound Adrian heard was the winter wind. Then the older girl spoke again. "You're Mr. Calder, right? Mama said if something happened, we should find you. You'd help." Adrian narrowed his eyes. "What did you just say?" "Our mama died this morning," she repeated, her voice steady. "We don't have anywhere else to go." Through the glass doors, the doorman glanced nervously. A valet froze mid-step, unsure whether to intervene. Adrian's heart thudded once, hard. He stared at the girl. Her voice didn't shake. Her eyes didn't plead. She said it as if grief had no place on today's schedule. "How did you get here?" he asked. "We walked," she said. "In this weather. It wasn't snowing when we left. We've been waiting for you. Security wouldn't let us in, so we sat on that bench." She nodded toward a slush-covered seat outside the building. Adrian glanced at the valet. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "They tried, sir," the young man stammered. "I thought they were just kids panhandling." Adrian turned back to the girls. "What's your name?" "Anna," the older one said. "This is my sister Joelle." Joelle looked up, cheeks red, lips bluish from cold. "Where's your mother now?" Adrian asked. "Quieter. At home," Anna said. "On the couch. She hasn't moved since last night." The Escalade beeped softly, waiting. Adrian had meetings in Houston, a jet on standby. His assistant would call any minute to ask why he hadn't left. Instead, he heard himself ask, "Why me?" Anna didn't blink. "Mama said you used to know right from wrong, before you got rich." The words hit Adrian like ice water down his back. How could a child say something like that? "How old are you?" he asked. 9, Anna said. Then, quietly, "But I feel older now." Joelle sneezed. Anna pulled her close. Adrian clenched his jaw. He could walk away. Call social services. Let someone else untangle this mess. But Anna's words lingered in the air between them, like frost on glass. "You used to know right from wrong." He tugged his coat tighter and nodded toward the building. "Come inside. You both need heat." Anna hesitated, then guided Joelle past him. Their boots dripped slush on the marble lobby floor. The staff looked uncertain, but no one dared to stop them. Adrian turned to the valet. "Cancel the car. Call my office. I'm not going to Houston, Uzier. You heard me." Then he followed the 2 girls into the warmth, leaving behind everything he thought he had planned for the day. The elevator hummed as it rose, chrome walls reflecting Adrian's unreadable face and the 2 silent girls behind him. Anna held Joelle's hand tightly. Joelle leaned against her sister's coat, eyes heavy with exhaustion. 17th floor, Adrian muttered. "There's a suite I use for meetings." He swiped his access card and led them into a quiet corridor. At the end, he unlocked a dark wood door. Room 1702. Inside, leather furniture, oak-paneled walls, a fireplace that lit with a switch. Expensive, minimal, soulless. "There's a bathroom," he said. "Towels, warm water." He grabbed 2 bottles of orange juice from the fridge and handed them over. Joelle clutched hers with both hands. Anna hesitated, then accepted. "Sit," he said. They obeyed. Adrian poured himself a scotch, though he hadn't touched one before noon in years. He sat across from them, glass untouched. Tell me what happened. Anna drew a breath. Mama got sick last week. Coughing, couldn't stand up. We don't have heat in the trailer. Power cuts out a lot. She told us if she didn't wake up one morning, we should find you. Said you were a good man, once. That maybe you'd remember how. Adrian flinched not at the words, but at the way she said them. Flat, factual. Like grief was just another thing to walk through. How did she know me? He asked. She used to clean offices downtown, sometimes yours. She never spoke to you. Just saw you passing by. You smiled once. She remembered. Said your name like it meant something. Like it was the last safe thing she could give us. Adrian finished his drink in a single swallow. Did you tell anyone else? Anna shook her head. We didn't know who to call. We just waited outside. Adrian walked to the window. Snow blurred the city like a shaken globe. He pressed his palm to the glass, the cold biting his skin. You understand, he said slowly, that I can't just keep you here. I'm not your family. Anna met his eyes. We know. We didn't come to stay. We came so someone would see us. Joelle's small voice broke the silence. Mama looked like she was sleeping, but she wasn't. Adrian turned. Joelle's eyes met his steady, unblinking, desperate not to be invisible. He nodded. You're not alone anymore. At least not tonight. He reached for the phone, then stopped. I'll order food. We'll figure it out in the morning. Anna stood suddenly. We're not asking for pity. Mama hated pity. I know what pity looks like, Adrian said. This isn't it. Anna gave a small nod, as if to say good. Then we understand each other. Adrian ordered grilled cheese, tomato soup, hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. When the tray arrived, Joelle fell asleep with her head in Anna's lap. Adrian sat across from them, listening to the fire crackle while the storm howled outside. Do you have kids? Anna asked quietly. I had a son, Adrian said. He died. Anna didn't ask how, she just whispered, I'm sorry, and looked down. Adrian didn't reply. He only sat in the silence, staring at the flames. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of plans dissolve. And for the first time in years, he didn't want to be anywhere else. Summer in Seattle came in weirdly generous this year. More sun, less drizzle. The maple outside Calder Tower dressed in a bright, almost cocky green. Adrian did something he hadn't tried in years. He cleared a full week. No meetings, no Zoom, no quick urgent emails that somehow ate entire days. Instead, he pitched a road trip. Where? Maya asked, skeptical by reflex. Portland, Adrian said. Zoo Powell's, food trucks, and donuts so extra they should come with legal disclaimers. The ones with cereal on top. Very eat now, regret later, but still post it. Lulu threw both hands up. Sugar high, trip. Patchwork's first vacation. Patchwork the one-eared rabbit, newly accessorized with a bow. Maya had stitched on stared solemnly from the crook of Lulu's arm, the patron saint of ferocious tenderness. They packed light hoodies, sneakers, a Ziploc of emergency gummy bears, and the notebook Maya had started for Lulu Blanc pages, waiting for scar tissue to turn into a story. The Range Rover slid south on I-5, beneath a sky so clear, Mount Rainier looked like someone had photoshopped it in. Lulu bounced in the back seat to a playlist she decurated, called Road Trip, but Make It Happy, which was mostly catchy hooks, and 3 songs in heavy rotation on TikTok. Maya pretended to read, foot-tapping exactly on beat. House rules, Maya announced, eyes still on the page. Driver tells a childhood story. What statute is that under? Adrian asked. Internet law, Lulu said gravely. Storytime or get cancelled. Okay, okay, Adrian laughed. When I was your age, I got stuck on the school roof, retrieving a soccer ball. Fire department had to come. Local paper ran a headline. Spider Boy, poor choices. Maya snorted. Pre-social media, viral. And I didn't get class president, Adrian added. Apparently, I was a risk management concern, Lulu wheezed. Dad got cancelled by the PTA. Adrian looked at her in the mirror. She called him Dad like it was a fact, not a trial run. The word landed soft and steady in his chest. Portland greeted them with sunlight and street art. Adrian booked a small boutique hotel in the Pearl District, where the front desk kept bowls of apples and a turntable spun vinyl in the lobby just because. It was trying hard in a way that might have annoyed him once. Now, it felt charming, like someone genuinely wanted the place to be nice for strangers. The first stop was Powell's. Lulu went feral in the children's room, piling picture books about otters, moon rabbits, anything with a soft animal. Maya wandered toward the memoirs and lingered over thin spines that carried heavy lives. Adrian watched them from the aisle, phone in his pocket, hands empty, time unspooling into something human. At Voodoo Donut, they chose chaos. One with Fruit Loops, one with crushed Oreos, one shaped like a voodoo doll with a pretzel stick through the heart. Lulu named them like pets before devouring them. Captain Crunch Guy, Cookie Face, Sir Stabdalot. When frosting hit her nose, Maya deadpanned. It's giving milk mustache, but make it frosting. And Lulu laughed until she hiccuped. At the Oregon Zoo, the penguins strutted like tiny CEOs. A sea lion performed for the crowd, then refused to do the same trick twice, which Adrian respected at a spiritual level. Lulu pressed her forehead to glass and chattered to the penguins, as if they were old friends who moved to a colder neighborhood. On their last evening, they sat on the hotel bed, eating takeout from a cart, pat a little of everything over rice. Lulu tried kimchi, declared it spicy pickles with a plot twist, and demanded more. Maya leaned back against the headboard, knees up, book open but not really reading. This was good, she said, almost to the ceiling. It was, Adrian said. Lulu nestled closer. Can we do a road trip again? Maybe to see the big trees. The ones that make you feel like a tiny ant with good self-esteem. Redwoods, Maya said. Yes. Adrian felt his chest expand like a quiet, grateful bellows. We'll plan it. They drove home with a trunk full of books and a new house rule. If someone said detour with a decent reason, they took it. Lulu deployed it twice, once for a roadside berry stand, once for a view of the river that really did look nicer from that one pull-off Maya found on the map. Back in Seattle, the weekdays resumed their shape: school drop-offs, homework, spaghetti nights, bedtime chapters of Charlotte's Web. Adrian tried Jonah's project on 4-size mentally kid-friendly courtyards, reading corners built into public space, roofs that collected rain like a gift. He emailed back. He'd join in a limited, focused way playgrounds and gardens, no investor calls, no board politics. Jonah replied in 3 seconds. You, me, a slide that doesn't cause lawsuits. Let's go. On a Thursday, the service elevator camera pinged Adrian's phone while he chopped parsley. His stomach knotted hard before his eyes even registered the grainy image. A man in a leather jacket. Chin up like a dare. Rex. Adrian set the knife down and pulled up the live feed. Building security had him in the lobby this time, not at the door. James stood tall and unimpressed. Adrian kept his voice even over the intercom. Mr. Dalton, you've been told not to come back. Rex smiled without warmth. I came to congratulate you. Heard your little paper circus, moved forward. Leave, Adrian said. Or I call the police. Again. Rex held up his hands, faux casual. No need to get dramatic, Mr. Money. Maybe we can talk. Man to man. I got information. Leverage. Adrian's jaw tightened. You're late to that party. Rex's eyes sharpened. You think the other guy's a better story? That pretty suit from the lobby. You think suits make good dads? Adrian didn't blink. You're done here. Rex took one step backward, palms up, never turning his back. Predator etiquette. We'll see. He winked at the camera, then sauntered out. Adrian let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He texted Elise. He's back. Restraining order violation. On it, she wrote. Send the clip. And Adrian, keep doors locked. I know you already do. Still saying it. He did. Then he wiped the parsley off the board, because dinner was happening. Because life was larger than the shadow at the lobby door. Maya noticed the micro-change in the air before he could smooth it away. She had a sensor for threat the world had installed too early. He came again, didn't he? She asked later, after Lulu fell asleep in a sprawl that looked like trust. Yes, Adrian said. He didn't sugarcoat. Downstairs, he left. He won't go away, she said, flat, not frightened. He'll circle until someone clips his wings. Adrian nodded. That someone is the court and me. But I need something from you if this escalates. Your words, not to carry the whole mess, just to confirm the truth you already told. I'll say what I remember, Maya said. The yelling, the smashing, the way Mom got small. That's enough, Adrian said. She watched him for a long second, then said, Don't stand by the window tonight. He blinked. I won't. She disappeared down the hall, like a ghost who'd learned how to be a person again. 2 days later, Denise called with a voice that sounded both satisfied and bone-tired. We served him. He mouthed off. The officer enjoyed every second. And Daniel, just so you know, filed a letter with the court stating he has no intention to seek custody. He wants you to have it in writing. Adrian stared at the ceiling. The paint he'd pick if he were a paint. Thank you. You're building a moat and a garden, Denise said. The right order. He didn't know he needed to hear that until the words slid into place. On a Saturday afternoon, Daniel texted, I'm across the street at the cafe. Not asking to come up. Just wanted to say, I'm here if you want a conversation that doesn't have to be a landmine. Adrian glanced toward the hallway. Lulu hummed in her room, narrating a game between Patchwork and 2 plastic penguins. Maya had commandeered the kitchen table with a science project sprouting beans in damp cotton like a tiny orchard. I can meet for 10, Adrian wrote back. He put a pot of water on ritual and told Maya the truth. Daniel asked to talk in the cafe. You okay if I go for a few? Yeah, she said. Then, carefully, you don't owe him anything. I know, Adrian said. But I might owe Lulu a clear head. The cafe was warm and smelled like cinnamon and decisions. Daniel stood when he saw Adrian, an old reflex of respect. He looked a little more tired than last time, which made Adrian like him better. I wrote a second letter, Daniel said, sliding an envelope across the table. No apologies this time. Just here's who I was at 25. Here's how I grew up. Here's the dumb stuff I did, and the decent stuff I tried. If she ever wants to know me, I'd rather she meet the truth than the myth. That's the right shape, Adrian said. Also, Daniel added, Rex contacted me. Adrian didn't move. And he wanted money to stay out of our way. I told him to go to hell. Then I told my lawyer, if he comes near me again, He'll learn the word harassment, spelled with a capital H. Adrian nodded once. Good. If you ever want me to say that in a courtroom, I will. Adrian believed him. It didn't soften the line he'd drawn around his family, but it added a guard light on the perimeter. When he got back upstairs, Lulu was on a chair with a colander on her head. Night Lulu of the kitchen island, she announced. Guard of pasta and feelings. Maya looked up at Adrian. How was the cafe? Productive, he said. Uneventful. Define productive, Maya said, smirking because they both knew lawyer words had infiltrated the household like dust. We got another letter. He told Rex to go to hell. He offered to testify to that. Maya's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Okay. Also, Adrian said, eyeing the colander, I see we're ready to dine with royalty. Night Lulu says, we need extra parmesan, Lulu intoned. It's for morale. Morale is my favorite dish, Adrian said, and grinned when Maya rolled her eyes but smiled anyway. The garden day at Rainier came up fast. Jonah's pilot install for the first of the playground courtyards. Adrian had insisted the space be designed at kid height, not adult vanity. They built planter boxes the color of sidewalk chalk, and a tiny stage under a maple for stories and low-stakes performances. Lulu terrorized worms with affection. Maya painted a plank and freehanded the word home in lemon yellow, then added #plant hope in the corner. A grandmother in a navy windbreaker squeezed Adrian's hand and said, Thank you for making something in this neighborhood that costs zero money to use. He swallowed the lump in his throat and said, Thank you for telling me what matters. On the way home, they stopped at a hardware store for picture hooks. Back at the penthouse, they created a tiny gallery wall by the kitchen. Lulu's otter, Maya's home sketch, the pizza night photo they kept reprinting and taping because the tape kept failing. Adrian tacked up a Polaroid of the three of them, making ridiculous faces. It didn't match the rest, which was why he loved it. That night, Maya came into his office with her journal pressed to her chest. Can you read something? She asked, cheeks pinking like a shy sunrise. Only if you want me to, he said. She sat on the rug and opened to a page halfway through. It's called When You Arrive Late and Still Right on Time. She read, her voice steady. About the storm, the bench, the first grilled cheese, the hallway light left on. About being caught on the fall. About choosing a person because they didn't flinch when the world did. When she finished, she didn't look up. Adrian cleared his throat once, then again. May I keep a copy? He asked. Yeah, she said, shrugging like it was nothing. Like she hadn't just handed him a paragraph that would outlast 10 office towers. Put it with the pizza picture. Or your wallet. Wherever you don't lose things. My wallet, he said. And they both laughed because he'd de-lost that thing twice, in 2 months, and Lulu had found it in the fridge, once. It's cold in there, she'd scolded. Money also has feelings. The home visit with Clara came and went in a soft shuffling of notes and nods. Clara peeked into the girls' room and smiled at the glow-in-the-dark stars. Asked Lulu about her favorite book. Asked Maya what the hall light meant now. It means I don't listen for footsteps as much, Maya said. Clara's pen paused, just for a second, then kept going. And then, just as their lives found a peace that felt like it might hold, the universe flicked the domino some past self had set up. Ben, Adrian's assistant, steadfast, discreet, stood in the doorway of the office one afternoon, looking like he'd swallowed a lemon whole. There's a reporter in the lobby, Ben said. City Ledger. She says she only needs a quote. Adrian's pulse ticked up. About you. And the guardianship. Someone fed her your file number. Elise answered on the first ring. Don't go downstairs. What's our move? Adrian asked. Nothing on record, Elise said. If the story runs, we respond with a statement about protecting minors' privacy and ask for corrections on any inaccuracies. I'll call the editor now. Denise called 2 minutes later. I'll remind the paper of the confidentiality statutes. If they print names, they'll wish they hadn't. Thank you, Adrian said, feeling the old urge to bulldoze and the new discipline to pause. He made cocoa, not as a metaphor, just cocoa, stirred until the milk went brown and sweet, and the kitchen smelled like childhood someone had kept safe on purpose. When the article dropped online that evening, it wasn't cruel, just hungry. It mentioned a Seattle developer seeking guardianship of 2 sisters orphaned in a winter storm, built a halo on one side, and implied a PR pivot on the other. No names, no faces, but the comment section pulsed and hissed like a pit of snakes. Maya, read it anyway. Of course she did. She balanced the laptop on her knees, eyes flitting faster than her face gave away. Adrian watched without hovering. When she finished, she clicked the screen shut and said, "People on the internet are loud." "They are," he said. "And wrong," she added, matter of fact. "Sometimes," he said. "Sometimes, very." She looked at him straight. "They don't get a vote here." "They don't," he said, and felt her lock that in. An hour later, a black sedan idled across the street, longer than it should have. Maya noticed. She always did. Adrian went to the window, then didn't stand in front of it, like she'd asked. He took a picture of the plate and texted it to Elise and Denise. "Could be reporter. Could be idiot," Elise wrote back. "Either way, I'll ping a friend at SPD to swing by casually. The car pulled away. Casual felt like an Olympic sport. A week passed. The paper ran a second piece, this one about the Rainier courtyard, with a photo of kids on the tiny stage, under the maple, and a caption that made Adrian sound like he was auditioning for sainthood. He wrote a short op-ed in response about building public spaces kids can use for free. He didn't talk about his family. He didn't offer any halo. He wrote about slides that Don Tiber knew in summer and corners where shy kids could stand without being invisible. The home evaluation report landed the following Monday. Clara's prose was clean, careful. This residence is not simply adequate. It is a locus of stability and nurturance, she wrote. Adrian read that sentence 3 times, then printed it and stuck it in the drawer, where he kept documents that could pull him together in under 15 seconds. Elise called. Final hearing scheduled. 30 days. Adrian exhaled. "We'll be there." "Wear a tie that looks expensive but not rude," she said, deadpan. He laughed, and kept laughing because the world had gone from freefall to inside joke. On a Sunday morning, with the hearing date circled on a calendar they actually used now, Adrian took the girls to a farmer's market. Lulu insisted on a baguette half her height. Maya picked strawberries, choosing each one like it owed her excellence. A busker with a dented trumpet played La Vie en Rose, and Lulu tried to hum along. It sounded like a bee with opinions. Adrian let her swing from his arm like she was 5 and immortal. She kind of was. Back home, they made strawberry shortcake. Lulu's cream collapsed into a happy mess. Maya's held firm like a boundary. They ate at the kitchen island, forks scraping plates in the kind of silence you don't want to break. "Can we do first day of summer pictures?" Lulu asked, mouthful. "We can," Adrian said. They set up the phone on a stack of cookbooks and a soup can. The first photo was reasonable. The second one featured Adrian tripping into the frame, arms windmilling, Lulu laughing so hard her eyes were just crescents, Maya, looking like someone who'd just realized chaos could be cozy. They stuck the second one on the gallery wall. That night, Maya hovered in his doorway, notebook in hand. "I wrote something for the hearing," she said. "You don't have to read anything, not if you don't want to," he said. "I know," she said. "I want to read it to you." He nodded at the chair. She sat and began. A simple, fierce paragraph about choosing to stay, about the hall light, about breakfasts that didn't ask for silence. She ended with, "He didn't ask for us to be easy. He asked for us to be real." He swallowed. "May I bring that with me?" She shook her head. "No, I'll bring me." He grinned. "Deal." The week before the hearing, Denise called with a voice that told him this was a curve. "You should know Rex filed a motion. He's asking to speak. It's a last-minute play, and he won't get much time, but he'll be in the room." Adrian's stomach went cold, then hot. "Understood." Denise's tone gentled. "It doesn't change the facts." He hung up and found Lulu building a fort out of couch cushions. "Admission fee?" he asked. "1 strawberry," she said. He paid and crawled in. Inside, the fort smelled like laundry and sugar and the place between scary and safe. Lulu whispered, "Do you think I will remember all this when I'm big?" "I think you'll remember the important parts," he said. "And you'll forget the parts that don't matter." "What if I forget something that matters later?" she asked. "That's okay," he said. "We're writing as we go. That's why we have the notebook." She nodded solemnly. "Also, the pictures on the fridge. Frozen memories." Exactly. The morning of the hearing, Seattle wore a pale, respectful light, as if even the sun understood appointment times. Adrian dressed in a navy suit that looked expensive but not rude. Maya wore a simple blue dress and a cardigan she'd picked herself. Lulu had a new clip in her hair and a tiny rabbit stitched on her pocket. Elise met them on the courthouse steps, her tote bag, ominous and comforting at once. Inside, the courtroom hummed. Denise slid into a seat on their side. Daniel sat quietly in the back row, not trying to be seen, which made Adrian see him more. Rex slouched against the wall near the door, a smirk painted on to hide the nervous twitch in his jaw. Judge Monroe entered, robes slight, presence heavy. She glanced at the docket, then at the room, like it was a theater where everyone had been badly miscast, and she intended to fix it. "Elise Kwan, for Mr. Calder," Elise said crisply. "Mr. Dalton," representing himself, Rex said, too loud. "Mr. Rhodes is here by permission of the court as an observer," the judge added without looking up. Daniel nodded once, small. Elise began. "Clean lines of fact, dates like fence posts." Clara's report quoted with just enough warmth to stay professional. She didn't gild anything. She didn't have to. When she sat, the room felt like it had exhaled into a shape that fit. "Ms. Alvarez Maya," the judge said gently. "Would you like to speak?" Maya stood. Adrian felt a hand slip into his heat, looked down to find Lulu anchoring him, like he was the one who might float away. Maya's voice didn't shake. It didn't need to be loud to carry. She talked about the storm night and grilled cheese, about the hall light and not having to whisper, about breakfast eggs that tasted like a future where someone cooked on purpose. She ended with, "He keeps the bad things outside. He keeps the good things inside. That's all I want from a home." A silence landed that didn't feel empty. The judge nodded once, slowly. "Thank you." She turned to Rex. "You have 3 minutes." Rex swaggered to the lectern and tried to lean on it, like a bar. He spoke about blood and rights, about not being given a chance, about money buying the good opinion of the world. He threw in the word agenda twice, hoping it would stick to someone. It didn't. "Mr. Dalton," the judge said, voice flat as a ruler, "a right is what you exercise, not what you abandon. You may sit." Rex's mouth snapped shut. The judge looked at Adrian. "Would you like to say something brief? Brevity is a kindness to all of us." Adrian rose. He didn't talk about money, or buildings, or what he'd lost. He talked about pancakes and a colander as a knight's helmet. He talked about a hall light. He talked about a pizza night photo that refused to stay on the fridge because the tape was cheap and gravity was stubborn. "I am not here to rescue anyone," he said. "I am here to stay." Judge Monroe's eyes softened, which he hadn't known they could do. She shuffled papers that were already in order, and said, "This court grants full guardianship to Mr. Adrian Calder, with all rights and responsibilities afforded under statute. The minors will remain together in his custody. Any visitation petitions must be filed properly and will be considered in light of the children's best interest. This matter is concluded." Lulu squeezed his hand so hard, his fingers tingled. Maya exhaled like she'd been underwater 6 months and just found a surface that didn't move. Outside, the light felt different, the same sun, but warmer somehow. Denise hugged Adrian quick, professional, human. Elise allowed herself a smile with teeth. Daniel inclined his head, a small salute to a boundary well drawn. Rex lit a cigarette at the bottom of the courthouse steps, then thought better of it under the glare of a no-smoking sign and stomped it out with unnecessary force. He didn't look at them again. That was a gift. They didn't go out for a big celebratory dinner. They went home. That was the point. Adrian made grilled cheese because some rituals insist. Lulu arranged marshmallows on hot chocolate like she was installing jewels on a crown. Maya set the table and added 3 strawberries to each plate. Because luck comes in threes if you make it. They ate, they laughed, they didn't whisper. After dinner, Lulu drew a new picture for the fridge. The tall building with a big window and 3 stick figures under a sky full of stars, and in the corner, a little stage under a maple and a yellow word. Home. When bedtime came, Lulu climbed under her covers and tugged at his sleeve. "Can you leave the hall light?" "I can," he said. "Not because I'm scared," she said. "Because it's pretty." He smiled. "Best reason I've heard." Maya lingered in the doorway. "What happens now?" "Now we do tomorrow," he said. "And then the day after." "And pancakes," Lulu said from the pillow, half asleep. "And pancakes," he agreed. He turned off the lamp, left the hall light, and stood there a second in the glow. The city beyond the glass blinked like a patient constellation. He wasn't thinking about skylines. He wasn't thinking about boardrooms. He was thinking about a kitchen table with 3 chairs, about a fridge full of magnets and messy pictures, about a notebook filling up one steady page at a time. They'd made it. Not to an ending, but to a beginning that could hold. Tomorrow, he'd still lock the door and check the cameras. He'd still answer emails and text Jonah about slides, that curve, not drop. He'd still say no to the wrong things, and yes to the right ones. He'd still leave the hall light on. And when the morning came, Lulu would ask if they were still coming home that night. He'd say yes. And it would be true. Fall crept into Seattle like a sly guest earlier sunsets. A nip in the air, trees on Capitol Hill flicking into orange and red. For Adrian, it marked the first school semester he'd cared about in decades. Drop-offs, backpacks, science projects, he was learning them the way other men learned golf swings. One Friday, Maya came home, clutching a wrinkled flyer. "You have to sign this," she said, sliding it across the kitchen island like a contract. Adrian read aloud. "Jefferson Middle School Fall Play. The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, Maya said flatly. Lulu's auditioning. I am Dorothy. Lulu shouted from the living room, standing on the couch with patchwork held aloft like Toto. Somewhere over the sofa, Adrian smiled. We'll sign it. Maya rolled her eyes. She can't sing. I can too. Lulu yelled back. It's just my voice is still downloading updates. Adrian chuckled. That's the best excuse I've ever heard. Audition day was chaos. Kids in mismatched costumes, a music teacher pounding away on an out-of-tune piano, and Lulu giving a rendition of Over the Rainbow that sounded like a cat stuck in a dryer butt. A very confident cat. She didn't get Dorothy. She got a munchkin, with one line. Follow the yellow brick road. Lulu burst into tears. It's rigged. She wailed. I was born to be iconic. Adrian knelt. Hey, munchkins are the glue. No munchkins, no journey. Think of it like the Avengers. You're the one who tells them which way to go, she sniffled. So? I'm like Nick Fury. Exactly. Maya smirked. You still only have one line. Lulu pointed her finger like a dagger. But it will be legendary. Rehearsals took over October. Adrian started packing extra snacks because Lulu burned through granola bars like firewood. Maya tagged along sometimes, pretending to be bored, but secretly mouthing lines under her breath. One afternoon, Adrian found himself hammering scenery in the school gym. He hadn't touched a drill since college, but suddenly, he was on the parent volunteers list. Once a developer, always a developer, one of the other dads joked. At home, Lulu practiced in the mirror. Follow the yellow brick road. She tried it fast, slow, dramatic, sarcastic, even in a fake British accent. Maya recorded her once and posted it to TikTok. Overnight, it got 20,000 views. Caption: My sister has range. Lulu strutted into school the next day. I'm viral. The night of the play, the gym was packed. Folding chairs, camcorders, moms with Starbucks cups, dads pretending they didn't cry at kid performances. Adrian sat in the second row, hands clasped like a nervous investor, about to hear the pitch of his life. Dorothy forgot half her lines. The Wicked Witch sneezed, mid-cackle. Toto peed on stage. The audience laughed, clapped, forgave. And when Lulu marched forward and declared, "Follow the yellow brick road," with the gravitas of a Shakespearean queen, Adrian felt his chest ache. She wasn't Dorothy. She wasn't supposed to be. She was herself, bright, stubborn, unforgettable. Maya elbowed him. She killed it, she did, Adrian whispered. Later, Lulu bounded off stage, straight into his arms. Did you see me? Did you see the crowd? They gasped. They did, Adrian said solemnly. Broadway is trembling. 2 weeks later, the tremor wasn't Broadway. It was Adrian's past. A letter came in the mail, cream envelope, no return address. He almost tossed it, but the handwriting slanted, careful froze him. Inside, a single page. Adrian, you don't know me, but I knew Owen. We met in a summer camp for kids with asthma. He talked about you every day. Said you were busy building the world, but you always called at night. When he died, I wrote you once. I never heard back. I thought maybe you didn't want reminders, but I kept something. A video. Him singing happy birthday to you. I think you should have it now. A flash drive fell out, small and weightless but heavy as stone. Adrian sat at his desk for an hour before plugging it in. The video was shaky, grainy. Owen 12, wearing a camp t-shirt, holding a cupcake. Happy birthday, Dad, he sang, voice cracking on the last note. Then he grinned. Stop working so much. Love you. Adrian's throat closed. He pressed pause, but the word love still echoed. Maya appeared in the doorway, silent. She saw the screen, saw his face. Was that him? She asked. Yes, Adrian whispered. She stepped in slowly, sat beside him. They watched the whole thing together. Neither spoke. When it ended, Maya said, "He'd be proud you didn't walk away this time." Adrian covered his face with one hand. "I wasn't there. Not when it mattered." "You're here now," she said. "It matters." He almost didn't tell Lulu. But that night, while tucking her in, she asked, "Did you ever have another kid?" "Yes," Adrian said softly. "A boy. His name was Owen. Where is he?" "He passed away years ago." Lulu was quiet. Then, "Did he like pancakes?" Adrian smiled through the ache. "He loved them." "Then I'll eat extra," she said, "for him." He kissed her forehead, turned off the lamp, and left the hall light on. By Thanksgiving, their home was noisy. Denise dropped by with pie. Jonah brought his kids, who immediately turned the living room into a soccer field. And even Daniel came for coffee, sitting quietly in the corner, like a man still learning where he fit. Lulu announced she was thankful for patchwork, pancakes, and being semi-famous. Maya said, "I'm thankful we don't whisper anymore." Adrian said, "I'm thankful for late arrivals who are still on time." For once, silence wasn't heavy. It was full. And in that moment, Adrian realized the storm that began on a snowy night had turned into something else entirely. Not rescue. Not obligation. Family. Winter came back to Seattle with a familiar bite, but this time, it didn't feel like a threat. Christmas lights wrapped around lampposts. Coffee shops smelled like cinnamon. And in the penthouse, the girls argued about whether the tree should have colored lights or white. "Colored," Lulu insisted. "It looks like candy." "White," Maya countered. "It looks like peace." Adrian compromised. Both one half candy chaos, the other calm white glow. It looked ridiculous. It looked perfect. The storm hit on December 20th, snow pounding the city into silence. Adrian was stirring cocoa when the building intercom buzzed. James's voice came through, tense. "Mr. Calder. There's a woman here. She says her name is Elise Dalton." Adrian froze. Elise Dalton, Rex's sister. "Send her up," he said carefully. The elevator dinged. Elise was nothing like her brother-knit coat, clear eyes, posture of someone who carried herself by choice, not bravado. She held a folder. "I'm not here for him," she said before Adrian could ask. "Rex is in jail. Fraud again. He called me, begged me to stir trouble. I'm not doing that. But you should know he bragged that he had dirt on you. Something about your son." Adrian's stomach clenched. "He said you weren't there when it mattered," Elise continued softly. "I wanted you to hear it from me. I know grief when I see it. Whatever mistakes you made, those girls don't care. They only care that you stayed." She placed the folder on the counter. "These are the last of his things. Letters he never sent. Nothing dangerous. Just ugly." Adrian nodded. "Thank you." Before leaving, Elise glanced toward the hallway where Maya's laughter drifted. "Don't let him rewrite who you are. You've already done that yourself." 3 days later, the storm knocked out power across downtown. Calder Tower's backup generators kicked in, but the grid outside was dark. From the window, the city looked like a half-erased painting. Maya paced. "What if it stays out?" "What if, then we light candles," Adrian said calmly. "And we stay warm. Together." The elevator clanked suddenly, then silence. A minute later, pounding on the stairwell door, Adrian grabbed the flashlight. James, the doorman, staggered in with a little girl wrapped in his coat. "Her mom's stuck across town," he gasped. "The storm stranded her. I couldn't leave her in the lobby. The girl couldn't be older than 4. Shivering, silent, clutching a plastic pony. Lulu stepped forward instantly. You can sit with us. Want hot chocolate? We got the good kind. The girl didn't answer, but she let Lulu take her hand. Maya looked at Adrian, eyes wide. She looks like us. That night, Adrian's chest tightened. History was circling, testing. He crouched to the girl's level. You're safe here. We'll wait for your mom together. They lit every candle in the apartment. The kitchen smelled like wax and sugar. Maya read aloud from Charlotte's Web by flashlight. Lulu adding commentary like a live podcast. If the pig was on TikTok, he'd be famous. The little girl slowly leaned against Maya's shoulder, thumb in her mouth, finally breathing steady. Hours later, her mother arrived, snow-caked, exhausted, crying with relief. She scooped her daughter up and whispered, "Thank you." Adrian only nodded. He didn't need thanks. After they left, Maya whispered, "You knew exactly what to do." "Not exactly," Adrian said. "But I knew one thing. We don't walk away." In January, the final court date arrived. Judge Monroe reviewed the last papers, Clara's glowing evaluation, Denise's testimony, Maya's journal entry submitted as evidence. "Mr. Calder," the judge said, "guardianship is no longer provisional, it is permanent. Anna and Joelle Maxwell are legally, irrevocably, in your custody." Lulu squealed so loud the bailiff laughed. Maya squeezed Adrian's hand, eyes wet but steady. Judge Monroe smiled faintly. "Sometimes the law doesn't create family. It just recognizes what's already true." Back home, they celebrated with pizza greasy, cheesy, exactly right. Lulu taped a new picture to the fridge. 3 stick figures holding hands under a crooked Christmas tree. "Forever home," she wrote at the bottom in her uneven scrawl. Maya added, "No returns. No refunds." Adrian laughed until his chest hurt. Later that night, when the girls were asleep, he stood by the window. The skyline glittered, cold and tall, but for once he didn't feel owned by it. Behind him, down the hall, was the only building that mattered, a home stitched from grilled cheese. Hallway lights, TikTok jokes, courtrooms survived, and promises kept. He whispered into the quiet, "We made it." Months later, at the Rainier Courtyard opening, kids swarmed the new playground. Lulu dragged Adrian to the slide, shouting, "Dad, it's influencer content." While Maya sat on the stage with a book, finally reading without one eye on the door. Jonah clapped Adrian on the back. "You built towers for a living. Now you've built something taller." Adrian looked at the girls, their laughter rising above the crowd. "No," he said. "I just stopped running long enough to notice." And for the first time in his life, he believed it.